Do you know what YouTube keeps recommending Iron Man videos after you've seen Endgame? And you are everywhere I go, I see this face. Sometimes I wonder why Tony died, and that made me think about his weaknesses. Do you want to know? I have something better than this. Hello everyone and welcome to Top Things. Don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to the sensational video that follows. Without other boring introduction, let's start the hunt for the biggest weaknesses of every Avenger. Nobody is invulnerable. Indeed, even a man of steel like Superman is powerless against things like kryptonite, sorcery, or your infrequent large spiky buddy. A great deal of other superheroes endure comparable weaknesses. Green Lantern's forces were once pointless against the shading yellow. Martian Manhunter has more superpowers than the vast majority of the remainder of the Justice League combined. However, in the event that you get him excessively near an open fire, he'll crack. In any case, a Saint's shortcoming isn't generally physical. With a couple of eminent special cases, most individuals from MCU's Avengers don't order similar sort of exceptional forces as the Justice League's volunteers, and their weaknesses will in general go further than skin. They're pompous, they're burdened by sensations of deficiency, or now and again you simply don't have the foggiest idea about whose side they will be on, starting with brief, then on to the next. However much that the group can some of the time function as a perfectly orchestrated symphony, a lowlife with the cleverness of Loki or Ultron, who knows and can misuse those weaknesses, can separate the group. Try not to trust us? Indeed, consider the accompanying as we take a gander at the greatest shortcomings of each individual from the Avengers. Iron Man puts everything on his shoulders. Saying that somebody's strength can likewise be their shortcoming is a platitude, however its banality since it's actual and the MCU's Iron Man is an ideal model. Since the time the Battle of New York in the 2012's Avengers, Tony Stark has had the world on his shoulders. At the point when the Chitauri came shouting out of the sky over Manhattan, everything changed for Tony. The information that threatening outsider powers were holding up out in the void was a lot for him to measure without taking care of business. While this awareness of certain expectations helped save the world on different occasions, remembering for his last fight in 2019's Avengers Endgame, it additionally takes care of Stark's greatest disappointments. It legitimizes in his brain his misdirection in Avengers Age of Ultron and prompts the production of an aware robot that nearly crushes the world. It's likewise a major piece of his inspiration to back the Sokovia Accords in Captain America Civil War, sending him on an impact course with Steve Rogers and leaving the world with a separated Avengers once Thanos comes calling. Cap is too good for his own good. In U2's The Fly, Bono sings, "It's an obvious fact that a liar will have a hard time believing any other individual. That since we will in general anticipate from the world what we anticipate from ourselves. On the off chance that you lie constantly, at that point you presumably assume everybody lies constantly. Thus you confide in nobody. It works the alternate way as well. In case you're a benevolent and courageous patriot who consistently requests the best from yourself, at that point you're most likely going to anticipate the best from everybody around you. What's more, in case you're Steve Rogers, you'll be frustrated. A lot." In this part of Steve that helps start so much difficulty in Captain America Civil War. Obviously, he doesn't see a requirement for the Sokovia Accords. He anticipates the best from everyone around him. He contends so energetically, chances so a lot, and he loses so a lot to secure his old companion Bucky, in light of the fact that despite what he realizes Bucky has done, he actually still anticipates the best from him. It's the reason the double dealings he suffers from Black Widow and Nick Fury, who he knows are spies, some way or another come as a shock to him, and it's the reason he's ready to join S.H.I.E.L.D. without seeing the developing danger of Hydra until Fury is biting the dust on his parlor floor. When Thor falls, he falls hard. Since the time his first big screen appearance in 2011's Thor, the Lord of Thunder battles with the way that he simply isn't accustomed to being the failure. The issue with quite often being the most remarkable person in the room is that you probably won't realize what to do once that force can't save you. That is valid for Thor when we meet him in his first performance film. He, in the long run, finds the modesty to win back Mjolnir and recovers his forces. However, when he's originally made human by Odin's announcement, all he knows to do is attempt to recover the sledge. At the point when he learns he can't lift it, his wrath for his dad is devouring to such an extent that he thunders at the sky. What's more, obviously, there's this change into the purported brother Thor in Avengers Endgame. while Thor neglects to prevent Thanos from executing a large portion of the universe in Avengers Infinity War. As Rocket brings up, he isn't the only one in his disappointment. In any case, Thor lets the heaviness of everything fall straightforwardly on his shoulders. It's what drives him to kill Thanos. What's more, to fall as low as we've ever observed him. The Hulk's weakness is that he's unpredictable. One thing that is constantly clear about the Hulk in the movies and the funnies is that his greatest weakness, in any event as far as working within a team, is that you're never truly exactly sure which Hulk you will manage, and on the off chance that you misunderstand the one, at that point he's similarly prone to crush his partners as he is to crush the foe. While Loki is surely utilizing his capacity and that of the Mind Stone to impact the Hulk when he goes wild on the helicarrier in the Avengers, the Hulk isn't somebody you need to work that difficult to control. While the second is ostensibly one of the most clever of the film, the Hulk shows his eagerness to lash out at partners when he sucker punches Thor in Grand Central Station. He's one of 4 Avengers who are attacked in a solitary scene by Scarlet Witch's psychological forces in Avengers Age of Ultron, yet he's the one in particular who not just assaults one of his partners as a result of it, however goes out of control through Johannesburg. Furthermore, in Thor Ragnarok, there are no witches or warlocks playing with his psyche when he decides to assault Thor in Sakar's field. Fundamentally, the other person is capricious. Black Widow isn't convinced she deserves forgiveness. As we've seen from Black Widow on numerous occasions in the MCU, as much as she battles and forfeits to make up for herself, an incredible piece of her is persuaded she's not worth saving. It's what Loki attempts to abuse in the Avengers, and it's something that slaughters her in Avengers Endgame. At the point when Loki uncovers to Black Widow in the Avengers that the brain-controlled Hawkeye has revealed to him about Natasha's dull past, he intends to control her. Things don't work out precisely as Loki plans, however. As we discover later during her discussion with Hawkeye, Black Widow is as yet shaken by the experience. Furthermore, no doubt, Black Widow is the person who sorts out some way to close the entire Chitauri are utilizing to attack Earth, and in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, she's at first Cap's just partner, and it's Nat who delivers the entirety of Hydra's mysteries on the web, despite the fact that it serves to uncover her own past. However, notwithstanding these heroics, in Avengers Age of Ultron, she suggests she's a very remarkable beast as the Hulk and considers the idea of her being an Avenger a fantasy. Hawkeye is an Avenger limited by his ammo. Hawkeye is one of only a handful of Avengers whose most noteworthy shortcoming is more on the actual side of things, as he's restricted by his ammunition. Without his bolts, Clint is a long way from defenseless. In a large portion of the appearances, we've seen him the equivalent of a significant number of his kindred Avengers with regards to hand-to-hand combat. In Captain America Civil War, we saw him stand his ground against both Black Widow and Black Panther with at least stunt bolts. In any case, with regards to the dangers that live in the universe of the Super, he needs those weapons, and when he runs out, as we find out in the Avengers, he's in a great deal of trouble. In Civil War, he would have been totally pointless against saints like Iron Man, War Machine, and Spider-Man without his bolts. He was totally pointless against Vision even with them. Spider-Man needs to get out from under Tony's shadow. Sadly, when Tony Stark jumped into Peter Parker's life in Civil War, it was a blessing. Otherly, it's been a wait. While Stark assists with empowering Peter to turn into the best legend he can be, he additionally forces a huge shadow over Spider-Man's life that the more youthful Saint continually feels constrained to satisfy. He needs to never really intrigue Stark in Civil War. Afterward, in Spider-Man Homecoming, Peter is edgy to keep Tony's consideration so he can demonstrate he's deserving of being an Avenger. In Spider-Man Far From Home, after Iron Man's demise, Peter feels the obligation to make up for the shortfall Tony gave up. It's this drive to satisfy the legend of Iron Man that drives him to settle on some sketchy choices. It pushes him to do significantly more than web them up and stay away like Tony lets him know in Civil War. It gets him in various battles that don't end well in Homecoming, similar to the ATM theft that pulverizes one of his #1 shops in Queens and almost executes the proprietor and his kitty. It drives him to intervene in the arms deal that prompts the Staten Island ferry being impacted into equal parts. Also, in Far From Home, his sensations of insufficiency, in contrast with Stark, make him an obvious objective for Quentin Beck's controls. Did you expect this? Leave a comment, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications to be notified when a new video appears. Take care of yourself.